Hi everybody, my name is Adriana and today's lesson is what the world eats. In this lesson, we're going to be discussing how to create balanced meals by incorporating foods found in traditional diets from around the world. Before we start, you can also use this lesson in conjunction with the book My Food, Your Food and the cooking activity for salsa. I'll post links in the description for both of these videos. If you'd like to see the read aloud video, you can do this before or after we have our lesson. And the salsa making would be a great activity after you read My Food, Your Food and complete this lesson. So in a few moments, you're going to see a set of pictures. All of these pictures are from the Hungry Planet photography project by Peter Menzel and Faith D'Illusio. These two photographers traveled the world and photographed families, asking them what they ate in a given week. When looking at the following photos, I want you to really take your time examining each photo. So when each photo pops up, pause the video for a few moments and write down on a paper what you are observing. What are the foods that you recognize? What is similar and what is different between the diets of all the families shown? So once you're done looking at all the pictures, you can look at the lists that you've made and you can number each photo 1 through 5 and really compare and contrast the different diets and the ingredients that were showcased on their table. As a reminder, be mindful of the photos that you're seeing. These are people who have maybe wildly different diets from you, and that's okay. You probably have a different diet, even from me or somebody that lives next door to you. You're gonna have similarities with everyone and you're going to have differences. That doesn't make one person wrong and one person right. We wanna keep this phrase in mind, don't yuck my yum. If you were really proud of a dish and showed it to somebody and they tasted it and they were like, this is so gross, what are you thinking? You would be really, really sad and pretty upset about that. So even though we're not really interacting with the people in these pictures, just be mindful of how you respond to them and try to remember that this is a time to be kind and to really embrace other cultures and traditions. Over the next few slides that you'll see, pause on each picture, number each picture 1 through 5, and write down on your paper what you see. Make a list of the different foods, the different ingredients that you recognize from each picture so that at the end we can compare them. Great. I hope you liked looking at those photos. They're really interesting to see how our diets are similar and what's changed throughout the years and through customs and cultures between different countries and different people and even different families. So now I want you to take a moment and think about what foods could you highlight from the lists that you've created. What foods could you highlight that we eat in our community and in your culture or in our cultures? What foods are you able to eat here in New York? What are you able to eat as an individual or that you like to eat as a family? What are the foods most present in your communities? If you'd like, you can circle those foods on the lists that you've written down, or you can write a new list. So I'm going to take a moment to show you MyPlate. If you need to pause the next slide just to really examine MyPlate if you've never seen it before, I'm sure that many of you have, feel free to do so and take as much time as you need. All right, So if you don't know, MyPlate is a tool that we can use to ensure that we're eating all of our food groups and to ensure that we're eating nutritiously. So MyPlate encompasses all 5 food groups. So we have dairy, we have protein, we have vegetables, we have grains, and we have fruits. MyPlate is designed so that we can have a balanced meal. Ideally, every meal would include some or all of those food groups. Knowing the food groups and eating all of the food groups is important because that means you're having a balanced diet. If you're only eating one type of food all of the time, you're not getting all of the nutrients that your body needs to be healthy and strong. Think about it in the sense of how a plant survives. What does a plant need to grow? It needs sunlight, it needs water, it needs air, and it needs soil. If it's missing any one of those things, it's not really going to grow properly. If it gets too much sunlight and not enough water, the plant can become dehydrated and die. So similarly, if we're eating too much protein and we're not eating a lot of vegetables, we may not have a lot of the vitamins and minerals, special nutrients that vegetables can give us. And that goes for every food group. If you have it out of whack and you start to eat too much of one food group and not enough of the other, it's going to have some impact on your body. So our activity today is combining all of this information. It's taking the information that we've just gathered about food groups and that it has to be balanced, and we're taking the information that we've gathered from looking at the Hungry World photographs. And we're going to be inspired by those photographs to create a balanced meal following MyPlate guidelines. Look at the lists that you've created for each of the photographs. During this activity, I'll post a picture of all 5 photographs so that you can look at them and pause on that part of the video and use that to inspire you and to guide you. But really look at the lists. This is where you had all that information, all the foods you recognized, all the foods that interested you or caught your eye, and pick from those lists what you would have on your plate. So for each food group, for protein, dairy, vegetables, fruits, and grains, you're gonna have one of the foods that you've noticed. So if in one photograph you notice tomatoes and carrots, and that's something that you would like to eat, you're going to have that on your plate. Now, we're going to get creative and you're going to draw your plate. So it should look like how MyPlate looks like, just so that you can get used to seeing how MyPlate is set up. Pause on the MyPlate section so you can copy it correctly, and then continue on to the photographs. Pause on that if you need to so that it can jog your memory and it can remind you of the things you wrote about. Look at your list and see what you wrote down and use that as inspiration for what you're going to draw. Make sure that you draw your entire picture before you start to color anything in. At the end of it, as a bonus, you should label it. Remember, take your time. You can use as much time as you need for this activity. Good luck. Amazing. I'm sure you guys did a wonderful job. If you'd like to do this with a family member and maybe they create their own plate, you can compare how your plates are different. You can compare what foods they've noticed and how it's different to the foods that you noticed. Maybe there's foods that they don't like in that list and vice versa. But for today, you did a wonderful job. Thank you so much for participating in this lesson, and I'll see you soon.